so many Americans killed in wars that were basically being fought for resources in Israel, but especially Israel. I mean, consider the scene that we just saw in New York City, Jimmy, where the former head of Al-Qaeda in Syria, deputy head of ISIS, this wasn't in New York, this was in DC.
DC, yes.
He was on stage with David Petraeus, who was the head of the
CIA
CENTCOM,
and CENTCOM,
who helped oversee the surge in Iraq. Imagine if you're like the family member of a veteran who was wounded in that failed surge or killed, and you see the general, the commanding general, on stage basically hyping up the Al-Qaeda figure who helped kill them, who fought them, who went to Camp Bucca as part of Al-Qaeda in Mesopotamia. That shows what the real agenda is. The reason Petraeus was there with him is because Ahmed al-Shara, formerly Mohammed Golani, is handing over a large part of Syria to Israel.
And again, another contradiction here is as General Petraeus and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, welcomed the former head of Al-Qaeda in Syria in the United States. He's wearing a suit. At that same time, there's veterans buried all over America that are dead from Al-Qaeda, from fighting, and also wounded. But there's also Guantanamo Bay is still open, and there's people in Guantanamo Bay. So if the head of Al-Qaeda is now welcomed with open arms in the United States by the Secretary of State and General Petraeus, why do they still have Guantanamo Bay open? And no one even brings that up.
Yeah, because they can't send them. They would have sent them to Syria to take it over on behalf of NATO and Israel if they could have. But, these are people that basically have nowhere to be deposited and are therefore not useful to the CIA. That's the only reason they're there. Mohammed Golani led a regime of terror all across Syria, slaughtered minorities, and he's doing it today.
They're slaughtering,
seated in Damascus.
They're slaughtering Christians all over Syria, right?
Well, the Christians are next on the chopping block, but for now they're slaughtering Alawites, who represent, the sect of Bashar al-Assad, and they had a horrific onslaught of jihadist foreign fighters attacking the Druze in the south, which Israel exploited. And the Christians are very afraid right now, and many of them are leaving. So this is being rewarded simply because of the utility of the former Al-Qaeda leader to especially Israel, which is they've not fired a single shot, and Israel occupies the entire Golan and Mount Hermon, which is the highest point in Syria. They've always wanted that. And now the United States is going to take control of the Gaza genocide. They're going to implement this Gaza Riviera plan, and it's going to be an absolute disaster. But the battle isn't over for Gaza. The resistance is still fighting on the ground. And there is also a looming next round of conflict with Iran, which Israel intends to instigate with the understanding that the U.S. will come in once again and rescue it. The U.S. just transferred something like 7 or 8 more THAAD air defense batteries to Israel after expending 1/3 of all our THAAD air defense interceptor stocks in 12 days to defend Israel, which means, if you're an imperialist, you want to give that to Taiwan. You want to give that to South Korea because you really want a conflict with China. And they can't have that now because you're defending this tiny little apartheid colony that keeps starting wars with a near peer power and can't get out of them. And Donald Trump, what's he going to do next? Another Top Gun raid to end the war? No, it's not going to work like that this time. It will be a much more bloody, violent conflict, and U.S. troops will get more intimately involved until there's boots on the ground, which is what Netanyahu got in Iraq. Remember when he went to the Senate and lobbied the Senate to initiate war on Iraq on the grounds that Saddam and Al-Qaeda were working together and that Saddam had WMD? He was sure of it. Netanyahu told the American Senate he was sure of it, and they trusted him. And thousands and thousands of Americans lost their limbs and their lives because of that.